also I sent out email to SNAP committee about meetings and budget hearings this Thursday and Friday. That's all my correspondence. Let's move on to the reports. Suwon-chan.
Yes, so we've completed 14 class visits, and there are no more class visits left according to my calendar. And then we had civics meeting last week, and also I met with the Korean Student Association president to take the booth for the booth for civics week. That's it.
Thank you. Leah and you?
Okay. On the 15th, I attended a Civics Week Planning Committee meeting. On the 18th, I presented to a yoga Pilates class about the ASEdCC job opportunities, and I handed out 2 applications during the visit. Today, I attended the Transgender 101 training for faculty and staff at Gateway. And also today, I attended the student government workshop. And that's all from the chair.
Thank you. Scott then?
Today on the 19th, I met with Melissa Tomlinson of the art gallery to talk about the bank account, and I also met with Pete Latimer to talk about 2 accounts of clubs, drinking, and gaming.
Thank you. Morris Manisam-san?
Yes, Chair. So on last Friday, I had Civics Week meeting with my committee member. As you might know, many of us are spending this whole week working on the Civics Week. Me, Leah, Suhan, Laura, we have been working hard for that, and we would like to ask all of you to help out on the next Monday and Tuesday whenever you are free. We are in short of volunteer at this point, and it would be good if we had officers to be there to show the support. You know why? Because it's our event. And lastly, I had the first mentee session with my new mentee, Hayden. He's a front desk, and he's interested in being a congrel. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. Sandra? No report? Wayne, do you have any report?
Absolutely, Chair, thank you. First of all, I passed out to you the criteria for the Honorary Triton Award, and also has some past recipients, which you can take a look at. So these awards are given only by the Executive Board in 4 categories, or 5 categories: faculty, administrator, student, classified staff, or staff, and community partner. Last year, 2015, you can see who received the awards, and this year, if you so choose, you can also give the awards again. So I just want to bring that to your attention. Awards dessert, get that on your calendar, May 25th, 3 to 5 p.m. It's a Wednesday. It's in Woodway 202. So if you are presenting any awards, either volunteer awards, which I think Leah has the packet now, or honorary Triton awards, we need to make sure we get those done ASAP. So that may be a work session item.
Yes, Patrick?
Did you say the date again?
The 25th of May. Seems like a long ways off, but it's not, and they prepared the program 2 weeks in advance.
Yes, Mark?
Wait, it's the same event as the dessert.
It works at I won't be at this Thursday's work session. I'm at a leadership commission meeting down in Everett prior to commitment, so unfortunately I won't be there. And other than that, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Captain Gonzalo, do you have any report?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So last Friday, I met with my TC committee again regarding tell them update them about for the TMC process, and also like which do we want to allocate since I got the message about the TMC budget on the Thursday, and that's it.
Brandon Pell.
For my correspondence, I don't have any, and for my reports, I just did classroom presentations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Brandon. My report is on April 15th, I attended the Civics Week meeting. And on April 18 and 19, I did class presentations about the student government. That's the PE 270 class and accounting 203. That's all for my report. Oh, and you have reports?
Yes, so last week I set up a sign-up sheet for the application booth and only one person from the e-board signed up. And that is all.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. That's it. If there is no objection, I'd like to add Student Board of Trustee Committee selection for 15 minutes by Wayne Anthony under the new business. Is there an objection? No? Okay, then let's move on to the unfinished business. Presentation of the 2016-2017 child care collection. Please, Sandra, present.
I was told she'll be here at 4:15
4:15.
because that was when she was scheduled.
4:10.
4:10, yes.
Then I think we can skip Lisa's agenda first and we can actually talk about the student board of trustee first. Okay. Then let's talk about the student board of trustee committee selection.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Myself and Sandra, hopefully, as reconfirmed as chair of the committee, would like to talk about representation on the committee. It's one of those things that has slipped, or we cannot recall if anybody was actually ever officially selected. We couldn't find anything in the minutes designating the chair, which Sandra has acted as the chair, preparing the materials, nor had we ever appointed, or you appointed, any of the committee members. So today, we're here to ask for participation of one. First of all, we need 3 executive officers, and one would be the chair, and so I'm going to recommend that Sandra be the chair, and then 2 others selected also by the executive board. All positions must be selected by the executive board because we may have a candidate sitting in this room. And Leah's official appointment powers, although would cover this under normal circumstances, because she may be a candidate, she'll have to recuse herself. She can not make these appointments. So I leave this open now to the executive board to select 3 officers, and I support one of those officers being Sandra as the chair. So with that, Chair, I'll throw it back to you.
Thank you, Wayne. Okay, any discussion?
Since Leah is applying, does she need to be here or she has to?
Well, this vote is going to be an open vote, so she cannot participate in any discussion or vote. But just like it's being caught on camera, it's not going to be excluded. So Leah cannot do
Okay. Any suggestions of who are the other 2 members?
One.
Volunteers?
First of all, are there any volunteers?
So,
I have a question.
yes.
Could we reconfirm the timeline of the board of trustees application process?
We confirm time.
Yeah, what are the timelines for that? Timeline, the dates for that? Like by what date do we have to make a selection? By what date do we have to recommend to the governor's office?
Okay. I'll direct it to Sandra. Do you have that information?
The deadline for the application was Friday. We would like to extend it till this Friday so that we can review the applications and do interviews.
And also see if we can get any more out.
get any more applications. And then we wanna review and interview by the the following Monday.
Monday or.
Monday
or-
or Wednesday, so that would be the stipulation for whoever volunteered. You would have to be available to do interviews the Monday and or Wednesday of the first.
Next week,
Is it the first? Not next week.
it would be next week. The appointments need to be to the governor's office by the first, which is a Sunday, so latest the second.
Yeah, the second.
Yeah, so we would have to
Yeah.
meet next week.
Yeah, we would have to meet next week. So it's fast.
Monday and or Wednesday afternoon.
And we have to have 2 volunteers. So if we don't get volunteers, we have to pick 2 people and you just have to do it.
Do you recall if Laura was in the committee?
No,
Laura's not-
No one, but
no, not
I believe there was a discussion, but maybe it was not made formal.
there was not.
There was no.
There, actually, we did have a discussion at a meeting, that's why I ended up being chair, but it wasn't recorded.
Nothing in the minutes.
I think it means.
First, Sandra, what are the commitments that the volunteer have to do besides the interview?
They have to review the applications and do the interviews, and then we'll just have a discussion as to who we choose.
We have 9 minutes left. Let's make it quick. So one.
So the time commitment, so the commitment will be until next week. And then
Yeah.
after that, there's no more commitment.
Is that correct? Is that good?
Yeah, if that's with the stipulation that the governor's office is satisfied with our selection.
And then the dates that we need will be Monday or Wednesday and or Wednesday after.
That's correct. I believe.
Right.
I
Correct.
cannot.
Okay, so we have one volunteer here already. Okay, great. So, is there anyone that want to make a motion?
So who are, besides Sandra, who else?
So there will that will be Sandra as the chair, right?
Right.
And then Suwan and of course.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone who wants to make a motion?
You guys want me to, okay. I make a motion that we create a committee for the Board of Trustees hiring, with myself as the chair, and the committee would include Suwan Jung and of course Manny Sun Chun Si. Okay. Can't never do it.
Why
A
just-
whole year goes by, I still can't say it right.
So there is a motion. Sandra moved to create a committee for the Student Board of Trustees, composed of Sandra Hedrick as the chair, and Suwan Jung, and Pors Manichamsai as members of the committee.
Second.
Or second? Let's vote by, is there any discussion? No. Then let's vote by Suwan.
Do we have to include non-student members in the motion?
Okay.
Question for Wayne.
I'll direct the way.
There is, a place for a non-student member.
Does that answer the question?
If you repeat that, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There is a spot for a non-ASEdCC member.
But does the executive board have to make the appointment for the non-student members?
The executive board at this point controls every appointment or everything about this process. With the
So
exception of Lee.
If you want to include Wayne, Anthony, or maybe a trustee
Oh,
in the
I'm
process.
sorry, those are already designated
Oh, okay.
as in there, it's just that the students are not named. It says a member of the board of trustees and myself by position. So I'm sorry.
Does it answer all
Yes,
questions?
thank you so
Okay.
much.
Any more discussion? If not, then let's vote by general consensus. Those who agree say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose say no. Alright, by general consensus, the motion passed. Let's move on to the next agenda. We have. I'll start with my agenda first. Since I am the chair, I would like to transfer the authority as chair. Any volunteer? Okay, sounds good.
There's just all the budget stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to present to the student government our budget for next year. I already gave you the handout. There are 2 pages, and that's the budget that Wayne has already made.
That's draft form right now.
That's the
That's
draft. That's draft. So what we want is to have input. Yeah. We want to have input about the student government's opinion. Turn off the light first. Oh, student.
Yeah, okay.
The one that I give to you is one option, and I came up with different proposal to the board. The part that we changed is mainly on the salary or wage. You can see that on the paper I wrote a letter A, that means draft A, and this is a draft B. So I want the input from student government, since we have to make a cut on our budget by 17% next year.
Can you zoom in?
Is it big enough? Yeah, so this is the draft B. You can see the difference is in the number of weeks for the training and the number of weeks in regular day. Here, in proposal A, the number of weeks for the training are 3 weeks. So we have three weeks of training and 30 hours per week. But here I changed it to 1 week, and we only have 5 hours training. You got the picture? So we only have 5 hours of training. Can you imagine that? So what I thought is we have far less training, but then we can work on regular hours. So we can learn as we work. That's what I thought at first, but yeah, board.
Who's the shading? So you cut from 30 hours to 5 hours.
Just times 3. Yeah, 30. I cut from 30 hours per week for 3 weeks, so that will be 90 hours total. I cut it to only 5, so that's 90. I cut it to 5. Yeah, that's like 85 hours less than the proposal. Yeah.
Kevin, and
May I
then I
ask
have
the
a
reason
question.
why?
No, because my reason is I thought we can learn as we work. So we have less summer training, but we can work during the regular school day. because eventually we will have the same total amount of work during next year, right? So we have to cut somewhere. Either we want to have more working hours or we want to have less training. Yes, well, you're the team.
Yeah.
I know, but I still have to take my turn. I don't think that's gonna work. Because there's UIR training, there's basic office procedure training, there's the, what is the state training that you have to go through.
Compliance.
There's the compliance training, that can't be done in 5 hours. Not to mention the up and running, working, think about how much time it took you to get up and running the first couple weeks. And then to try to do training on top of that,
Okay.
the first couple weeks of school, that's not even feasible.
I still have 2 other drafts. So
Oh,
this is
thank you.
draft C. So this is getting better. We have
So don't beat him up yet, yeah, okay.
we have
Why
2
would
weeks
you
of
even do that, Kevin?
we have 2 weeks of training and 11 hours per week.
Huh? Can you repeat that again?
So just the picture. The 3 first line here, these are the training. 1, 2, 3, these are the training. This is training for executive board, this is training for assistant, and this is training for communication assistant. And the bottom 3, this is the regular working hours, like during school. At our condition right now, we have 35 weeks and 17 hours per week. And then next year,
Hey, you guys can take some chairs.
Yeah.
You can pull some around here and other, you can just pull
we
some
have a
chairs
lot of
right
gas today.
camera. Come on in. Chairs. You might have to move the camera so people can get in. Yeah, all right, thank you.
They came in from my workshop.
All right, thank you. Just grab the chairs around.
Should I continue or?
Wait, just wait till it gets settled, yeah. I wouldn't put it in front of the door, I know we have some other people coming in.
Yeah.
So I would just put it over here and right now. Thank you for coming too, appreciate it. You're gonna, yeah, pile them all in, I hope you can see. Someone can sit here, Laura, sit. Oh, yeah, you're over there.
That's my seat.
Yeah,
That's it. Oh,
oh, it's over there. So someone else can sit here if you'd like.
go ahead.
Better.
Okay.
Shall I continue, sir? Okay, let's go back to our draft C. In draft C, we cut the number of weeks to 34. So 34 is because we cut the break, right? Wait, spring break and then winter break.
We cut work between the quarters.
Yeah, we got working in the quarter. And we have more training. So if we total, every positions have 22 hours of training. Maybe that sounds better than proposal A, which is 5 hours. So we increased the number of training from 5 hours to 22 hours total. But then we only have 34 hours per week. 34 weeks throughout the entire year. And draft C, it's basically the same. It's just that
Draft D, you mean?
it's the same. It's just I changed the number of weeks from 2 to 1, and the total is 22 hours. I think we prefer this one. So what's the student government thing? does the student government like the draft A, B, C, or D?
I just wanna clear it out, so you said it's the same as the C, this is the, not the draft, right?
C and D has the number amount of training,
So there's
both
not-
22 hours. So I think it's easier if I just ask the board. Does the board want 90 hours of training, 5, or 22? Yeah.
So I have a question. So first question is, when do we have to decide this? By when? Is it today? And also.
So, sorry.
And also, has the SNAP committee decided on that hour? Is it confirmed that we only have that much hour? 64,890. That's the only amount. Is it confirmed?
So, there are 3 other items within the budget, and I'll tell you what they are. One is printing, the other is supplies, the other is purchase services. So, printing and supplies have been reduced to $500 each. So that's 1,000, and then purchase services is down to 1,071, part of it. So those are the only other pieces within that budget that make up that. So the bulk is really in part-time hours.
I don't think I got my question answered. So has the dollar amount been confirmed by the SNAP?
The total dollar amount, that is just the labor for part-time hours, so that doesn't reflect. Oh, there we go, that.
So the total here, this is confirmed. 66,962, that's confirmed.
Wayne, I have a question from you. Based on our experience with the training over the summer, is it feasible that what we need and as far as training can be done in 22 hours? As an executive board to be up and running at the beginning of the year, parliamentary procedure, Washington state procedure, and then to include the equity and inclusion, which is supposed to be instituted as part of. Can that be done in 22 hours reasonably?
I think that would be tough, Chair. I haven't laid out any kind of training schedule, so I can't necessarily put what would be included or excluded in that 22. If you look at it, it would be essentially 4 days at about 5.5 hours a day, which would be, I'd be covering the bare bones, what we needed to absolutely do that. Probably wouldn't cover any goals, probably wouldn't cover any work with Triton Jumpstart, or obviously not. I'm not sure if even with more than 22 if we can do Triton Jumpstart or international orientation or any of those other pieces. So it's still too early for me to say this is what we can absolutely do in 22 hours, but I don't think it's a very good model.
And then we wouldn't be able to do the team building exercises, and if you guys can imagine what we actually did over the summer, that would be taken out.
So Chair, I just want to emphasize again that we have to cut the hours somewhere. So if we want to have the same amount of training like what we have, we might even need to cut the working hours to 15 hours per week only. So do you prefer having more training or having more work hours? And these are just 4 of the 4 possible options. So we are open to input whether the student government have a better idea, a better proposal, or the student government want to say how many hours do they need for the training, and I can try to adjust again. Like, let's see what I can do with the, if 22 is not enough, then what's enough.
Sometimes I have a question for Wayne. So I'm one of the, I think I'm the only officers who didn't go for training. And
Brandon didn't go.
Oh, yeah, and is it possible if we cannot cover all the training elements within 22 hours, is it possible if we can cover some of it during the working hours? If we cannot cover within that.
So, may I answer that, Chair? I think it would be a little difficult, just because once the level of work starts increasing, then it's harder to include that. And probably the bigger concern I have is trying to get you all together, 10 of you in one place at one time to do training other than the work sessions or executive board meetings. You know how difficult it is right now to get. So that's probably more of a concern, but you know, as we move training down the road as part of our work schedule, it has some other issues about workload than how much can you accomplish on doing your day-to-day job.
So I have a question and a comment. So option A, it's the training is for 3 weeks, but I believe that the summer training dates that we have confirmed is from September 6th to 17th, and it's only less than 2 weeks, so I'm not sure why it's 3 weeks in option A. And also, another reason that I don't favor option A is that we've already marketed in our applications and advertisement materials that the positions will be working up to 17 hours, but if you only have 15 hours budget, then they might say what happened.
Okay, point is well taken. Thank you.
Kim, Kim, did you have a question? Okay.
So I just want to describe what happened. So that 90 hours is more of a placeholder, Sue Won. What the professional staff agreed to is reducing training from 120 hours down to 92 hours total, which included some professional development throughout the quarter. So that was more of a placeholder, 90 hours. It wasn't, I mean, it meant to go over 3 weeks. I was just trying to get the 90 hours. But, let's see. Not sure that's doable. And then there's another option too, Chair, and that's, you know, maybe 60 hours. And for every hour that we add to each of your yearly wages, okay, so that we add 1 hour for 34 weeks, it has a financial impact of, let's see, where did I put that? Over $3,000. So just to give you an idea. So if we added 1 hour for each of you for 34 weeks, so for all of you, that has an impact of over $3,000. So if you look at rearranging things, you say, okay, let's add a week, or let's add an hour for the whole year. Let's go from 15 to 16. That's a $3,000 plus impact. So it's sometimes it's not as easy as, because there's just not a lot of money to play with. But I'm open to structuring this in the most effective way, and you are the end receivers of training and also your jobs, you know better than me. So what works best? We have to cut it out, but what's the best balance between work and training? So that's why Kevin's here, is to try and get that input.
Kevin, we only have a couple more minutes, so.
Just want to make an input. To be honest, I feel like I like the idea of having 22 hours of training and 17 hours, because I feel like I also learn more while doing than in the training, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but if you guys have a different opinion, I mean, it's fine with me. But like, in my opinion, I learn more about my job, about my responsibilities while working than in the training. In the training, I learn how to work together, how to learn about other people, about my colleagues. But while working, I learn that while I'm working. So I feel like I like the idea of having 32 hours and 70 hours.
Thank you. To me, I think 22 hours of training time seems
fine with me, because like Kevin Masato mentioned, we spent a lot of time on team bonding during the training, and I don't think it'll make a big difference if we cut that kind of time, those work. So yeah, it's my good thing.
Oh, sorry, Leah.
So, just in the time we have left, I'd just like to throw this out there for our two assistants have feedback, or if anyone has feedback. And I don't know if this would make a significant impact. What if we cut the assistant hours from 17 hours per week to 16 hours per week to give a little more time to training?
Question.
Yes.
So like 16 hours for the whole work year, like maximum? Or I think it's a good idea, personally. Because I don't need 17 hours a week to like finish my work, so I think it's a good transition for training.
Okay, start the meeting, teacher.
We get how much time?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, I would like to extend without any objections, give Kevin 5 more minutes. No objection, okay, go ahead.
I just want to say it again that right now I only want input, so we don't have to approve anything. The one that's gonna approve is the SNFE committee. And I also want to ask the assistant, how many hours do you think per week you need to finish your job? Is 16 still too much, or?
Just a quick point of clarification. I meant both assistants, not just Andrew specifically.
I would say about 14 hours approximately.
How about communication assistant?
I think it depends, because sometimes like I do work 17 hours like above, but that's just because one, I came later, and then two, it depends on how many events are going on at a certain time. But I can see the flexibility, but I just think 17's good, like back up. I'll follow back.
I want to ask, what happens if we change the hours or the dates of the training to something that's different from what's stated in our application or advertising materials? Like, do we have to do like anything?
I know, okay.
So, I'll try and answer that. What we need to do is just inform the applicants at the time of interview, saying that because there's been some funding cuts, this will be the training schedule, and this will be your work hours for the year. And if they are no longer interested in the position, then that's their choice. If they still are, then that's good.
Wait, I have a question. Is it possible that we allocate more money from the unallocated reserve to pay for, wage?
So, Chairman, answer that?
Yes.
So for next year or this year?
Next year.
So come to the executive board, so the executive board would allocate itself more hours out of unallocated reserve. I think that's a possibility depending on what the SNAP budget committee does for the guidelines. And I know we just briefly had a conversation about, will we allow 522 accounts come back to replace or replenish their budget because of a budget cut? Or will the budget cuts be firm unless there's an emergency? I think that's an SNAP budget committee decision about whether anyone will be able to come back and replenish their cut, or is it just gonna be more of an emergency? I had an unforeseen expense, and now I'm coming back. So that's still to be determined. So I can't say that's up to the budget committee in the guidelines, and then it'll be up to the executive board to enforce that.
I think we have like 1 minute left.
Okay, I'll take it that a lot of the members favor 22 hours of training. If that's the case, then
I
I'll.
wanna make a comment based on that, and I wanna say, and this is based on my experience, and I know all of you guys, and I'm gonna pull the age card on you guys. And I know you guys don't see the value in team building and learning to work together. Now, I need you guys to reflect back on the real training that you guys got. We got training on parliamentary procedure, which took a whole day. That was 8 hours of training. And it took us a whole quarter or more to get it down. We had training on office procedures and other paperwork procedures that we had to do, which took us half a day, 4 hours, and other team building that taught us how to just get to know, introduce each other, to work together. We were all, for all intents and purposes, strangers. And then to throw us all together where we had to learn to work together, know each other's names, so on and so forth, and then to reduce that down to a 22-hour process, and then say the beginning of the school year kicks in, and then ta-da, all of a sudden you have to work together in a professional manner with the beginning of the school year. That's not gonna work out. It's really not gonna work out. And if you guys can't imagine that and see that and reflect back on how things might have been had we not had that extended period of time to learn to work together, even though you might see it as a slight waste of time, just think about how much easier it was. Think about how scary it was for us at the beginning of the year with all the time that we had. Take that away. Take all of that time away and imagine how chaotic and corrupted our beginning of school year would have been. Kevin?
So what is your suggestion?
My suggestion is that we figure out a happy medium.
Chair,
Sorry,
I think
time's up.
yeah, if we want to have more discussion, I think you
Time's
should
up. No.
allocate more time.
We have, yes, sorry.
So,
Wait.
so, we're gonna take,
Session.
we're gonna take this, we don't have time to do this homework, so we're gonna be, these budgets are due tomorrow. So, we'll take the feedback and Kevin and I will sit down and crunch out something in the middle, probably 22, we'll crunch out maybe an hour less for the assistants, and see how we can plug that back in, maybe into training. We'll have to come up with that, but we're gonna have to do that by tomorrow. So the ASEdCC budget committee can review all the budgets on Thursday, so, okay? Do you have any more input? Give it to Mr. Kevin there. Can you turn on the lights, Kevin?
Okay, let's move on to the unfinished business that we have.
No, I'm awake.
Let's move on to the unfinished business that we have from last week. Lisa Newman.
Hello
Welcome
again.
back.
Thanks.
Oh, and I relinquish the chair back to Kevin Lugo. Next comment.
See the document, so I'll use that. Thanks for having me back. You know, sometimes you do like a class presentation and you walk out going, I didn't explain that well, or I missed the question, aha. That's how I feel from last week, so I'm glad I get an opportunity to come back and do some clarification there. I don't know if the documents I sent out today, if everybody's received them or not.
Yeah.
So I realize this history piece I need to bring with me all the time, you know, because there's always different faces and different groups here. And so I just wanted to revisit that before we talk about the budget, and I think a huge misunderstanding that happened last week. And so what I put together here were just some highlight points of the purpose of the Center for Families, you know, being developed to provide affordable, accessible, quality programs for Edmonds Community College students. And as I mentioned last week, our priority is to students. We maintain a 75% minimum enrollment of students. Often it goes 80 to 90, could go to 100% because we do give that priority to the student families. And I think right now we're like 80%. But it changes, quarter to quarter, week to week, because people come and go and come and go. And then I broke down into there how the subsidized funding helps us offer a discounted fee rate to students only. So they get, depending on the age group, it's about 15% discount. And how to count that from the funds you give is difficult to track, but that piece is in there. And that staff and faculty pay 100%, except for those that do qualify for the DSHS. And as you'll see, I noted, we've never have had less than 1% of staff faculty that use DSHS for payment. Community members pay 110%, so we use, if we have community members, use them as part of an increased revenue for us. And then I noted how we're documenting that we are a quality program. And so the NAYC is the stamp for early learning of these are best practices being met. And we were accredited, and then we were reaccredited this last fall. So we are accredited through like 2021 now for that. The second part was, in conversation with Kevin today, it sounds like the agreement had gone missing. And so I provided a copy to him of the agreement, the 2013-17 agreement. And what I did was go through here and just highlight some history and the funding pieces of that. And so the discussions in 2009 began when the college was threatening to close Center for Families. That was the message, possible mandate that I was being received because of the ongoing $39,000 to $45,000 annual deficit budget, and money was tight in 2009 as it is coming up, it sounds like in 2016. There was still the need and demand to provide childcare services on campus. And so the discussions went on for a good year with members of the student government at that time to talk about what would be the possibility of looking at a different way of helping fund the Center for Families. And so these agreements were developed. And so then I highlighted in here the financial pieces of it, and I just took word for word out of the agreement what those last parts are about the 20% overall funding pieces, where that at the time you wrote the article in there of where it fits your budget codes. I don't know if your budget codes have changed since this white paper was developed. Good for that. And then I just noted at the bottom our ongoing challenges for Center for Families. Center for Families is considered a self-support program, and I've in that 2009 time had to research what it would mean for us to be self-support, and I consulted with for-profit childcare programs, ones that know how to make money and do make money. And because in that closure part, there was also discussion about contracting out Center for Families. So I was researching what would it cost the college if they contracted out. And what they were able to provide to me, they had done the research and finding that in order for a child care program to be self-supporting, you had to have 110 self-paying full cost slots. Center for Families is licensed for 62, so I never have that, and nobody pays full cost. And our teachers here do make more than the community, even though our teachers still make $20,000 less than school teachers who have to have the same credentials. So there's gaps all over the place within this model. And so because we don't have the means with our current enrollment, we can never fund a program without student government, the college, grants, etc., supporting the program for that. And then the bottom, I'm noting positions that I have requested year after year. They're not approved, they're not in the part of my budget, but they are positions that we need in order to operate at the best model to support students in our program. And right now, so instead of that, I'm, sometimes cook, sometimes I'm front desk, sometimes I'm teacher, and other people take on those multiple roles too, because we don't have the funding for that.
So sorry to cut you, but I think we only have 15 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm ready to move on to the other piece of it.
I think the board needs to like directly discuss about. So what we need to do is to approve the budget for childcare. Since last week we didn't have enough information to approve it, so in this meeting we have to approve it. So if somebody has any questions regarding the childcare budget, please raise your hand or.
Can I do one more explanation of just the budget itself? So I'm a visual learner, so I brought a visual today.
Yeah.
Pyre did this from the infant room. And so, what I didn't explain is how the 522 funds go into my self-support. So I use this as the 522 funds that are contributed. These are the funds that the parents pay for fees, and this is the overall self-support program. Normally, we would be charging our expenses to the 522 account, but when that changed, the business office asked that we wait until in our self-support account, we had expenses that exceeded the allocation, and then they just directly transfer the 522 into the self-support that goes in with our full budget. And so I know what I didn't clearly explain last year is when I have an excess fund, a reserve fund, that's